Hey, you there. Thank you for watching, and welcome to Forged Alliance Forever. Today, I have a 5v5 custom match here on the most amazing Neuroxys map generator. So let's go ahead and introduce our teams and our players, starting off for Team 1 in the north, ending with Team 2 in the south. Starting off for Team 1's southeasternmost player in Emerald Green, it is Blazer O Flasher going first land as a UEF. He is a 1500 to his west in Rust. We have Lime Z3 going first land as a Seraphim. He's a 2000 rated player, the highest rated player on Team 1. To his northwest in Glow in the Dark Green, we have Katsu going first land as a Cybran. He is a 1400. In Imperial Gray, to his east, we have Comrade Bob going first land as a UEF. He is an 1100. And in the rear guard slot here for Team 1, we have in Pac-Man Yellow Red Visimosis. He's going first air, and he is a 1700. Again, he is a Cybran. So for Team 1 side of the map, they have two UEF, two Cybrans, and one Seraphim, which means Team 1 lacks Aeon technology. Starting off for Team 2's Chevy Crimson player in the southeast section of their map, we have Yorick going first land as a UEF. He is a 1300. To his northwest in Snow White, we have Wi-Fi going first air as a Seraphim. Very interesting choice, being very close to the front line. He is a 2200, the highest rated player on Team 2 and in the game overall. To his south in Stitch Blue is Tosim. Maybe the B is silent. Going first land as a Seraphim. He is a 1300. To his northwest in Regal Purple, we have Trotto going first land as a Cybran. He is a 1400. And the one and only Aeon player of the game in Ruby Red is Cunning Fox going first land. He is a 1400 in the rear guard air slot. So for Team 2 side of the map, they have one of each of the factions with a dual ACU preference of Seraphim, which means there's one UEF, one Aeon, one Cybran, and two Seraphim. And for 10 players on the map, let's take a look of how much reclaim they have to scoop up. And for 10 players, they have 27, let's call it 28,000 reclaim, which means it's 2.8k mass per player. That is a chunk, a hefty chunk of mass to scoop up. And most of it, actually, there's no real huge amount of mass in terms of like high concentrated reclaim to scoop up. There's a couple of 600s around the map. Nice couple of, let's say, a couple 500s in the middle of the map, but no like thousands, 2000s, any sort of really big sought after items. I guess there is one, there's a 1500 over here and a 1500 over here, and a couple of them closer to these other central players, but there's not really a lot of reclaim that will be fought over in the sense of, imagine if that 1500 was, right here or kind of right here, you would easily be able to see players building transports to ferry engineers do either their side or the other side of the map to reclaim that. But there isn't anything in the middle of the map. Obviously, there is a couple of ponds that players can hide in as well. And for Team 2 side of the map, they're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 Trimex positions on the front line with a twin mechs here. There's a decent amount of mechs over here and in front of Trotto, so he's going to have a lot of mechs to grab. And there's also, I don't know, possibly a main base worth of mass right here. Almost like you could have played a 6v6 on this map, but not. It kind of looks like that just due to the fact that players are having, I guess they only have a Trimex in their main base. Usually it's either 4 or 5, but yeah, you could essentially have another player sit in those 2 slots, especially because there is a hydrocarbon next door. So possibly this was supposed to be a 6v6 and they just didn't have enough. I don't know. I don't know what their lobby setup was beforehand. I'm only making speculations, of course. And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and see where our players are headed for this game. I would not be surprised to see most of the fighting occur over here and over here, just due to the fact that it's definitely going to be annoying to traverse this, northwest corner of the map. Southeastern corner, kind of the same story, but it's easier to traverse, but there's very small choke points, and it makes it very easy for the defending player to obviously defend, and for the attacking player is going to have a little bit of an annoyance, especially if somebody has a position here and a couple of positions here, it's going to make attacking from the southeastern section in either direction very, very difficult. And same kind of situation looks like in the northwest as well. Looks like the same rock section. So it's the same story for both sides of the map. So most definitely it'll be usually about this angle of attack. We might see some traversing through the middle, but there isn't a straight shot. And there's also, again, more choke points as well. And most of the mass is actually not necessarily in the middle of the map, but it's a little bit further back than that. So it's going to be a lot of no man's land fighting here in this game, at least in terms of the land game. So I suspect that air is going to play a huge role in this map in particular. Usually 5v5, you might see somebody go air. A second player go air. Most definitely in a 6v6, it's even a higher likelihood that somebody goes air. I'm talking about somebody else going air. In this game, it could be, let's see, Tusim's position. So that would be him and that would be Comrade Bob, because they are closer to the air player and they're a little bit protected versus the other three players on Team 1 and Team 2. But we'll just have to see what our players decide to do. We did see a bomber outbound from Red Visimosis, but it got shot down almost immediately. I don't even think it was able to drop any of its bombs, unfortunately. So that bomber will provide a tiny bit of reclaim here for their opponents. But, 72 mass is not that bad versus 1,000 plus of a T3 strategic bomber. But we do see Katsu using the water as a way to cut down his travel time, getting a nice front line position here, grabbing Team 2 side of the map's Trimix position in the north. We do see Trotso focusing more on this, not alleyway, but main contention line over here versus this little bit of an approach. So we could see that Team 1 will divert Trotso's attention quite heavily between this position and that one, especially considering we are seeing Team 1's Limes moving into assist as well. So it looks like it's going to be essentially a 3v1 in the northern section of the map. In the southern section, looks like possibly going to be 2v2, but we are seeing Wi-Fi coming into assist with defensive efforts for Trotso in the north. So it might be a 2v3 with the highest rated players on both teams fighting it out. Vis-a-vis. Maybe it's vis-a-vis. I think that's maybe is it the word for it? I don't know. But it's just fighting one another. And both of them are Seraphim, which means no faction bonuses. Obviously no hit point bonuses, and that being one of the faction bonuses. T1 Mechs tries to be established, but gets shot down immediately, and both players decide to evacuate or retreat. We did see Limes go a little bit west and decide, no, I'll go north and assist. Most likely Commander Bob. He's going for a gun damage and range upgrade. We do see Katsu continuing to push southward. Again, the downside with how far he's sitting forward is he could easily be sniped. 6 minutes isn't really that much of an issue, but when it starts getting to 12, 15 minutes, that aggressive play, as we've seen in some games it's worked, some games it hasn't. It is definitely a heavy risk to take, definitely high risk, high reward plays, but it's all about is the risk worth the reward? There we go. If I can speak English correctly. I struggle with that sometimes, even though that is my first language. We do see Tosim going for his gun speed and range. I don't see anybody else on a gun upgrade. We do see T2 in the base here for Cunning Fox. He already has T2 air online, getting a nice Alumnar transport online. We see Team 1 does not have T2 air as of yet from anybody. Yeah, I don't see any facility producing T2 air, so that could be an easy way for Team 2 to gain a little bit more ground in this game for blitzing down T3 tech. But we have seen teams where no one has Team 2 air, and Team 2, let's say, for example, is on their T3 upgrade. Somebody on Team 1 just blitzes it down and finishes it even before the upgrade for Team 2's air player finishes. But Team 2's Cunning Fox gets on a transport and heads north to assist his teammate of Trotso on the defense in the north. Very risky play. Obviously, there's not really a lot of air coverage for Team 1. The transport will be fine. There's a little bit of a grouping of interceptors. So not really a huge threat. It would take a little bit to chew through the hit points on that Illuminar. But Wi-Fi trying to force Team 1's rush play of Limes back. We're seeing more PD being established from this approach outbound from Wi-Fi himself. So it's a lot of contention going down here on the western side. Looks like Team 2 is having a little bit more success on this southeastern side. Gun speed and range still coming online for 2Sim, and we do see that Yodik is going for his T2 upgrade. He is UEF. That definitely makes sense. He's doing a little bit more of a slow approach. He's splitting his forces around the pond. Once he probably gets the T2, he'll probably get Riptides and just send them across. Probably what's going to happen, or he'll just do mass spamming of pillars and call it a day. He could also do that. We do see a couple units do make it past that PD, but they are caught very quickly here. There's also some Yenzin coming online here for Wi-Fi as well. Those units aren't really going to get a lot of work done here for Team 1. But Team 1 is getting, like I said, a little bit more ground in the northern game. And essentially, the mass benefit is a couple of mexes, a couple being, I'd say, at least 6, being the Tri-Mechs and the other 3 over here at a minimum. We do see, again, 2 comms. Even Trotzel has shifted his focus west. I wouldn't be surprised to see Wi-Fi move north and back around. We do see Team 1 is pressuring Team 2's eastern line over here in the north. Gun speed range has been started by Team 1's Katsu. And Cunning Fox going for some Oblivion PD creep, or T2 PD creep in general. Gun damage range has been started for Blazer or Flasher in the east. Nano repair has also been started. His gun did finish. He's going to be a little bit more teched up, be able to protect himself against any sort of air or land incursion, at least a little bit better than if he did not have that nano on board. You see a couple of gunships outbound from Cunning Fox, so he hasn't shifted to T3 air tech quite yet. He's just pumping out T2 units. I mean, I'm always the proponent of get to the tech as quickly as possible, then pump out the higher, more teched up units. Obviously, they cost more, but especially when you can get the advantage of having T3, especially, obviously they don't know this, but Team 1's Red Visimosis is going for T3 air. It would definitely benefit, but we do see Comrade Bob being a little bit swarmed here by some Mantis. And of course, Team 1's Katsu is on that upgrade, so he's not going to stop that anytime soon. He is being peppered by some PD. He will finish it, but it'll take a couple of shots to the chest from Team 2's PD. And the gunships are nearby here for that same player of Cunning Fox, doing a very good job of assaulting 2 players as comms at the same time. Team 1 has a couple of interceptors nearby, and the gunships retreat. All they wanted to do was just force back Comrade Bob. He does have his gun upgrade online. He's going to hide in the water for the time being. He didn't want to go for the kill. He probably wouldn't have gotten it anyways, but he kept his gunships online and is probably going to use them for another attack here pretty shortly. We do see T3 air has almost been completed for red. T3 upgrade has been started here for Cunning Fox as well, and in the middle, gun speed range has been started for Wi-Fi. Gun speed range has also been started for Limes. He does have a decent amount of Team 1 units, and he is on that upgrade, so those units came to him, so no really any issue there. I do like the engineer being like, I want that T1 Mechs, let me build it, and the FAM's going, no, we're not going to let you do that, sorry bud. We do see a couple of Ilshis on board this transport from Limes, looking like they're going to go after 2 Sim's position. I think I'm saying his name right. I want to say that the B is silent, like Num, with N-U-M-B, Num. But it could be 2 Simb, so I'll probably just call it 2 Sim for now. But we do see that PD, it's struggling to stay online. It will be destroyed, but that nano will finish off, so unless he has another upgrade immediately planned, which he does, he might cancel it. There are some interceptors flying around here for both teams, mainly from Team 2, and counter Ilshis do come in to assist with defensive measures for 2 Sims, so that approach doesn't really yield any results besides killing off a couple of mexes, which is something, but I think they were only T1, so it's not that much of a loss. We do see that Team 2 is mirroring Team 1 in the eastern corner, southeastern corner of the map, with Yodik on the front line getting a nice T2 base online. Would like to see just 1 or 2 AA emplacements, but I do like the fact he is going for shield. He went for TMD and PD just to give him a little bit more range, and of course some TMD defense, which is actually just TMD. I don't even have to say defense. It's just, that's just that D is it stands for defense. Anyway, Legionnaire has been started for Lime, so while he's going for being able to keep his units online, we do see that Wi-Fi has gone for T2, so more of a PD artillery kind of more, not utility. I always want to say utilitarian, but being able to utilize more of the structures in the game, more of the offensive or defensive capabilities in this game a little bit more than what Region or does offer. But again, it does keep your units online, so it is a huge benefit to be able to do. Wi-Fi going to walk forward and deal with these ill shields. Looks like they're targeting his T2 mechs. He's trying to force them back out of range. I think that T2 mechs will barely survive. That P coming in and out of range because the ill shield, again, is moving into range. Decent group of units running down the middle. We could see an instance where he just sends them fully down here, ignoring the comm. But with that T2 radar system online, that will go down. I wouldn't be surprised to see Wi-Fi move in. There'll be a decent amount of veterancy for him as well. He is trying to hold the fort down here. Not necessarily with minimal forces, but just enough so that he can get T3 land and maybe possibly even T3 air online. Strat Bomber over the top going after Wi-Fi's T2 Pigeons. Actually, no, gets one of them and a Max. Actually, two of them. So get a huge value out of it. A Pigeon and two, I think those were two T2 Maxes at a minimum. If not, maybe that was it. No, it wouldn't have killed the T3, so that's a T2. Another set of Pigeons goes down. This bomber proving very, very valuable, going after the the energy consumptions for Team 2. But unfortunately, that one doesn't go after that. Goes after the mechs, assisting those facilities. Bomber will drop again, going after another T2 mechs. This thing is killed off 9,000 mass. Great bomber outbound from Red. He saw the ability to use it. And he does have some intercept, some ASF coming in to assist with dealing with these interceptors chasing him. There is no flak in this base, unfortunately, for Yorick, but those interceptors are slowly catching up to that bomber. The bomber can barely outrun them, but if he makes any turns, those interceptors catch up very, very quickly. It does look like that Revenant will be fired, but an ASF comes in from Cunning Fox, kills off the bomber. The mass will drop on Team 1 side of the map, but killing off 9,000 mass, not necessarily kneecapping everybody, but you can see that would have been devastating here for Cunning Fox going after his P-Gens. Of course, we can see Wi-Fi's power. He's getting some assistance from his teammates, but that's the only reason why it's going crazy. And I think 2 got some damage. He's negative on energy as well. So a couple players on Team 2 suffering power, which also means they suffer mass income. So it's a nice little, 1-2 punch there. We see a transport laden with a nice T3 Otham online, outbound from Lime's, doing very well at just constantly raiding Team 2. Just obviously raids over here. Looks like those units either retreated. Looks like they actually retreated, at least for a time. And a lot of T2 units and Team 1s as well moving in to go after that Otham. The Otham's transport got shut down. Will kill off a Mechs. But I don't know if this is worth it. There are some Rhinos moving in to intercept. Actually, all of those land forces are moving in to intercept. And at the same time, Team 1's forces from Comrade Bob move in. So as these forces try to kill off the Otham, those units move in. They're not being assisted by the comm of Comrade because there's a lot of units between both of these armies. But we do see that, again, even if Comrade Bob does push in and maybe tries to go after the comm of Trothill, we will have to worry about some flanking outbound from Cunning Fox, who has done a decent job of pushing back Katsu at least to the northwestern corner. He has a little bit more of the corner left to try to grab from his opponent, talking about Cunning Fox. But he is also the air player, so he's kind of doing a little bit double duty of dealing with land and air. So it's splitting his focus a tiny bit, but he's doing a very good job of managing it. He's able to kill off that bomber that was plaguing Team 2, so definitely, again, he can do both, but again, he's not going to push it too much, probably because he has to focus more on that air production. Another Strat Bomber outbound from Red. Going to get huge value over here, killing off a decent amount of units. One bomb will drop. Nice little spread there. Kills off 5 Rhinos and then some. Kills off 17, almost 1,800 mass. Rhinos are inbound for Comrade Bob's commander, but I think there's enough firepower and hit points on Bob's commander to be perfectly fine and survive this encounter. And looks like that bomber is going to continue to assist with dealing with these land forces. The ASF prowess for Team 1 is definitely well shown here. And another bomb will drop, killing off another section of mass. Now it's 2,900, almost 3,000. So within 2 bombs, killing off 3,000 mass definitely paid for itself and then some already. We do see Team 2 trying to assault Team 1's Blazer Flasher in the east. We do see a decent amount of Titans on board, which is very useful for moving in and out, especially with facing off against the Ilshis. The Ilshis are pretty well known for how fast they are for T2 units, but of course, Titans can pump out a little bit more damage than Ilshis. But Ilshis can combat T3 units if they can focus and there's not a lot of support, which in this case there is. There are a lot of Ilshis as well. So it's kind of a nice little mix of it depends who gets the best engagement, essentially, or the better engagement. You can see the Ilshis really just blitzing down those Titans. And Titans trying to do the same thing, but having some success, but not as much success because it's just those Ilshis fire so very quickly. So very quickly. That would be the proper way to say that, I think. Again, I'm not an English major by any means. And for those that are, or for anybody who is a language major in general, I apologize. My grammar is not great. But I endeavor to improve as always, regardless if it's English or FAF or YouTube or whatever the case may be. I endeavor to improve, at least try to improve 1% a day, which sometimes is attainable, sometimes isn't, because it's hard to measure 1% like improvements. But again, trying is better than nothing. We do see a small air engagement here surrounding one little Ilshi who's like, I just see planes. They're landing all around me. I don't know what's going on. He's just like, don't land on me. And that fight does get won by Team 1. But again, having so much air control isn't really possible at 18 minutes. I mean, we're talking about maybe a squadron or so of ASFs. For Red, he's sitting at 22, so almost 2 squadrons of ASFs, being 12 in a squadron. We do see that 2Sim is being attacked by a whaler as well, so Red getting into the gunship and obviously the bomber game, which he dropped another one. It looks like he's actually retreating that one as we speak. And 2Sim could just be pushing forward, and he doesn't have T2 engineering space, so he can't just spam up a flak cannon, but he's doing a very good job in leading these combined forces from both Yurik and 2Sim to push in. 2Sim now being flamed, cooked alive by those Scorchers, and the other T3 unit of the Percy has been dealt with. We do see some Cougars coming online here for Yurik as well, and that should be able to blitz down the rest of those hit points if it doesn't focus on a bomber in the interim. But it is Percy and Ilshis versus Percys and Titans. Definitely we will favor the, well, A, the number of Percys for Team 2, and B, just the fact that, you know, they're a little bit, the gunship's a little bit more distracted with other units. But they do take out that AA unit, and 2Sim could be the first departure of the game. He is pretty far forward. He doesn't have a lot of AA support or any ASF support in that regard, which means he could be the first casualty of the game, but he is doing very well. He's still holding on. He's sitting at 3-star veterancy. Again, gun, nano, and splash. You don't really see splash used in this, not necessarily day and age, but it's not as common as other upgrades like the regen or anything like that, or even the engineering upgrades. We do see that those forces from Yurik going to come and assist as well. And I think 2Sim, and he's dropping into the yellow, but again, he is wrapping up at 88 hit points a second. There is a bomber nearby. So that's very much not helpful. And some Percys as well firing on him. It does look like he will be the first casualty of the game. I don't see anybody else on the minimap that's closer to death. And there he goes. 2Sim just succumbs to the pressure and defenses from Team 1, making this game now a 5v4 in favor of Team 1. And at 20 minutes, I think this is the perfect time to talk about how the game is going on so far. Overall, Team 2 has just lost the play of 2Sim, with Wi-Fi gaining control of his resources base, infrastructure, and the like. Team 1, again, sitting at 5 players remaining. Team 1 also sitting at 950 mass income, 970. Team 2 about the same, a little bit behind them, but not by much, especially at 20 minutes. But Team 1 does have a slight advantage, especially with the amount of mechs is being killed off by this brick force outbound from the west. Katsu has pumped out a couple of T3 units in the brick variety and have started to push back on that western side. Quite a decent amount, killing off a decent amount of mechs here on the western side of the map, and has opened the door for his teammate of Trato to push, not Trato, sorry, for Comrade Bob to push in as well. So look at this push, doing a very great job on this western side. Team 1, because of this, is sitting at about, I'd say 60% map control. They almost control the entire northern section of the map. Obviously, they control a little bit down here. But let me know down in the comments who you think is going to currently win this game. And, of course, if you haven't done so already, please, if you like the video, and subscribe to the channel. I very much appreciate every single one of you for watching, for subscribing, for continuing to stay subscribed, for liking the video, for commenting, all the things that not only make the algorithm for YouTube happy, but demonstrate to me that you show support and interest in either what I talk about or the cast in general or other videos on the channel. Thank you so very much. I really do appreciate all the time and attention you give to each and every single one of my videos, regardless of which video it is, for how long you watch. I really do appreciate it. We do see the emergence of some SACUs on the field, some armored combatant units outbound from Lime, not going for RAS because he doesn't have RAS because he's Seraphim. I don't know why Seraphim commanders don't get SACU RAS comms. I think that's just maybe a balancing thing. I don't know. But they do get the engineering ones, which are really nice for build power. So it's a nice little kind of, well, you don't get RAS, but you're going to be able to build stuff a lot quicker. So yeah, it's not, I mean, I don't know. I don't know who made that decision, but it was made. So again, I'm not a developer, so I couldn't really tell you one way or the other. It's probably just a balancing issue. It's probably one of those, not every faction gets every little thing that everyone else does. Like, not every faction gets a T3 gunship. Seraphim, another example, they don't get T3 gunships. Cybrans get T1, T2, and T3. So they get T1 gunships. So it's just, I guess it's just more of a balancing issue, which has been worked out for many, many years in FAF's life cycle, which I'm very appreciative that they are constantly, they're still providing updates and bug fixes and all the stuff that, you know, shows this community is alive and well and has not gone to the vaults of, is it the vaults of history? What's the phrase? It's just the annals of history? Maybe that's the phrase I'm looking for. Just like it's kind of been forgotten about, which, I mean, one of the reasons I started my casting of this game was because I wanted this game to be shown to more and more people, because it is a really fun game. Even if I'm not really super great at it, I do want more and more people to enjoy it, because I loved it when I played it. If you can imagine this on the Xbox 360 for the very first time, and you can imagine how well that game ran on the 360. This game, not great. There was a decent amount of lag on a console. Yeah, it wasn't a great experience, but it was still fun. I still enjoyed it. I played the second game that one time. I beat the campaign for it and was like, nah, I'm good. And that was really about it. And then I found you know, casts on YouTube, and then kind of just, I don't know, one day decided to do a channel, and here I am, 300 plus casts in, and still going, and still love it every single day. In the East, just more and more fighting between both of these players, not really getting any headway one way or the other. They're kind of just, you know, just trading blows. But in the Southeast, though, we do see a couple of Ravagers, one being built up per Yodek. I would like to see him build at least a couple more. We're trying to poke and prod on this southern wall over here. A couple of PD have been built. It is UEF, so I'm kind of... Why? There's a unit there probably at some point, and the Triad's like, I'm just going to keep firing at it, because why not? Oh, maybe he's trying to fire... Oh, hold on. Is that what you're trying to fire at? Oh, he's trying to fire at this. Okay, see, that makes way more sense, that there wasn't a command order given. There's just a unit at literally not able to be fired because of the geography of the map. But we do see Wi-Fi coming in to deal with these SACUs. He is in the yellow. He doesn't have nano. Almost feel like that's almost a sin, being a Seraphim commander and you don't have nano. I don't know if it's a sin or not, but that's one of those, like, probably should build nano. And he is trying to pressure Team 1's Limes' SACUs and doing a pretty good job of killing one off and forcing the other one back. Those ones do get a decent amount of regen, and these ones specifically have the radar upgrades. You can see the huge ring of radar that they have. Very beneficial for gathering intelligence. And as I speak, there it goes. Wi-Fi kills it off. He is in the green. He's at 3-star efficiency. And he is going to reclaim them 2,700 out of that one and 8,000 mass out of just one SACU. That is the downside with the, essentially the Rambo variety of SACUs. Is your opponent is able to get the Rex. That is a lot of mass to scoop up per unit, especially when you send in, you know, 2 or 3 squads, which is anywhere between 5 or 10 units. So talking about 15 to 30 units, that's a lot of mass. That's a lot of mass. That is a lot of mass. In the north, it looks like forces outbound from Team 2 have died down for a while. There is a lot of bricks and Bouncer support. Love to see this mix of units. A couple of rhinos just kind of mixed in there as well. Love to see those mix of units. You need AA in any land army. Even if you just have one experimental, you need AA. Just desperately, desperately need it. Also, deters any sort of ASF sitting over that land army when you have all of that mobile just kind of blitzing down any of the anything, regardless if it's ASF, bombers, gunships, whatever the case may be. Kind of deters any sort of action on that land army having that many AA nearby. We do see transport with Wi-Fi's comm returning to base, and he has a nuke online out of the Hastue T3 strategic missile launcher. It isn't online yet. It is built, but it has not been loaded yet. We do see in the south air grid expanding here for Cunning Fox. He does have, talking about Wi-Fi as well, he does have a T3 air as well. He has it probably just to have it. He is building a couple of ASFs, but he's not really spamming out. He's focusing more on his nuke. Does Team 1 know about it? Yes, they do. So definitely should be building up some SMD protection if they've noticed it. At a minimum, SMD is right here. I don't know what it's loaded because you can't see your other teammates. I feel like that should be a change where if you're on someone's team and let's say you hover over an SMD, and you're like, oh, I wonder how much this is loaded. And you look and, oh, it's only a third loaded or something. Like being able to see just the yellow bar at a minimum and how many are loaded would be very nice to have. Little plug there. Same would go for like nuke launch, nuke loading, that kind of thing. Instead of messaging or asking, say, hey, what's your SMD loaded at kind of thing. You could just go over and go, oh, okay, it's almost loaded. I don't have to worry about it. Or it's not loaded. I should worry about it kind of thing. There's another SMD up here in the north. That one was just built, and there is not one back here. Would like to see a backup, but there is a Novak started here. Just a little one engineer, just slowly building it. It's not a concentrated effort here for Bob, but it's on his mind. He's thinking about it, thinking about how to end the game. I don't see any sort of efforts by Team 1 to end the game. It is before 30 minutes, so that usually isn't on our players' minds as of yet, unless apparently your Wi-Fi wants to nuke the game, which, I mean, that obviously works. You destroy all the bases, destroy all the units. There's not really much that anybody else can do about it. Assist says red, talking about the SMD. I mean, that one is barely loaded. This one, like I said, is almost loaded, and this one over here is half loaded. How's that nuke loading? That's the main thing. If Team 2 can outload the SMDs, they have free reign on everything. Unfortunately, this SMD will load before this one can load and launch its nuke. Realistically, the only avenue that Wi-Fi has is either Katsu's base or Blazer's base, and I feel like Blazer might be somewhat of a bigger threat. We do see Yurik pushing on the south, and with the base destruction, that might be enough for Yurik to punch through and really force back Team 1 on his eastern side. So that could be the avenue that Wi-Fi goes, or he could go up for Katsu and really just assist as well on the west for Trotto to push in as well. But there's also 2 comms focusing this versus 1 comm focusing this, so that could be the deciding factor about who he goes with. We do see Katsu on the front line with a laser and cloaking on board, going after those bricks. Team 2 cannot see him. They can see the footsteps and the laser and the primary gun instead of the... I always find it funny calling the primary gun on board the comms. It's essentially the secondary gun with the laser because that's doing the most damage. Usually the primary gun has more range. So it's just kind of how it is. It's just really weird to say the primary gun, that's not doing as much damage as the laser, but that's just what it is. Oh, and I clicked the non-observer. I clicked the little bar at the bottom there. I do that once in a while where I just slow down the game ever so slightly, being 7 negative. Just because I missed the click. Misclicked. In the east, we see a lot of some mobile missile platforms coming online here for Blazer, trying to force back these firebase and units from Yurik. And that nuke looking very, very enticing here for Yurik, being like, hopefully he launches his nuke. If he notices it, obviously every player is kind of focused on their own little section of the map, so they don't always notice, like, hey, that's what's going on over here. But I don't see a lot of comms. And usually that's due to the fact that there are a lot of people in voice chat, which, to be fair, 4 of the 5 people on Team 2 are from the same clan, so the likelihood that they are on comms in Discord or whatever, very, very high. It's not 100% guaranteed, but Again, it's a lot easier to tell somebody, hey, there's units inbound or whatever the case may be, versus having to like, okay, now I have to hit enter or type that in, that kind of thing. And it saves time on response, and you can get back to what you were focusing on. We do see that chicken holding position. That chicken is severely depleted on hit points, almost sub 7,000. At least it was below that before I went and checked on it. Just a lot of Team 1 spam outbound from Wi-Fi. Almost like he wants to just annoy the chicken and keep the chicken kind of here while he focuses on his nuke loading. He builds an Awasar and loads and fires the nuke almost at the same time. He will go for Blazer's base. The only issue is if that SMD will be in range, and I don't think it is. How's this SMD loading? I am not on the right screen to do that. It just barely loaded. Oh, that's definitely unfortunate for Wi-Fi. He was probably, I'd say, 35, 40 seconds. Awasar Bomber is inbound. He will drop his payload on top of that chicken. Will not kill the chicken due to the shield from the Seraphim. ASF's just waiting for Team 1s to take the bait, but they do not. And that nuke is shot down. Definitely unfortunate. Team 1 also has an Awasar as well from the same player. Both of these central players here for both teams thinking essentially the exact same thing, except it looks like that Team 2's airplay of Cunning Fox has gifted over his ASFs to Wi-Fi instead of the airplay of Red taking control of those ASFs. We do see some bombs outbound here from Limes' Scav is from his bomber, and he kills off some friendly units as well, but kills off the remaining units here from Tratil. So some friendly fire does happen in this game, but at least in that instance, Team 1 will benefit quite significantly from the reclaim, especially with the comm of Katsu nearby at 34,000 mass. I feel like, okay, I was going to say an Omni should be built nearby, and it has been built by Cunning Fox. Unfortunately, that I think that Omni might be hit by some Awasar bombs. There it goes. AA being just rinsing that bomber with a lot of missiles, but the radar system does go down. The Omni has been taken offline, which means Team 2 does not see them. I should have popped them up before the Omni went down, but he definitely would have been seen at a minimum while he was sitting on that beachhead. Regen or advance has been started here for Limes, and ASF's holding position to guard the construction of a second Awasar bomber. Do we see? Yep, Team 2's Wi-Fi doing they're doing the exact same thing. So either they're telling each other, hey, we should do this strategy and we're both going to do it, or they're seeing what one person does and goes, I'm going to do that too, and then they both do it. We do see a donut has been started construction here for Cunning Fox. The ASF count, I mean, 151 for Team 2, and let's see, that'd be Red, not Limes. 125, so definitely comparable amount of ASF counts. So building, I mean, Donut would be nice. It has very long-range missiles on board the Donut, but there's 2 Awasar bombers running around the map, and this amount of T1 Zooey spam is not going to feel good. We've already killed off 35,000, probably will get up to 45,000. Killed off 40,000 with those Autumns, adding a decent chunk to that number as well. And we do see some AA being deployed to try to take out the Awasar bomber in the west. 2 Awasar bombers landing on the beachhead. Katsu sitting nearby. Takes a little bit of damage, I think, from that bomb, just because it's a giant AoE. And bomb will drop once again on the same target. Katsu looks like he's moving out of range, and I think he'll be fine for this one. Yeah, he'll be fine for that one. Barely got him on that first one, though. And 2 Awasars running the map. I feel like it's the beginning of the Forged Alliance Forever cutscene. Not Forged Alliance Forever cutscene, but the Forged Alliance cutscene. You just see the portal open and the massive amounts of bombers running around the map. Around the screen. Just bombing the crap out of Earth. Very dangerous units here. We do see in the east those bombers looking like they're going for an attack. First one has landed, going after this fire base, trying to stay as much out of range of some AA, whether it be mobile or stationary. But that base gets taken offline very quickly here by those bombers, and it will ensure that that base does not come back online with the second one inbound. I think this is the first game in a while where I've seen multiple bombers built by the same player, still alive at the same time, and by the same position of players. So like the same players built the same units roughly at the same amount of time, and they're both online. I guess one of them might have died. I think it's oh, it's still sinking. Looks like that's the shadow right there. Second bomber will make it past the ASF, and Team 2 wins the air fight, being distracted by that bomber going up to Katsu's base. T3 land hand corners will probably survive. I forget how much damage it does. It barely survives at 100 plus hit points. Bomber is at 2-star efficiency, so has 20% more hit points. Looks like it might be going after that Novax that's being built, or just those pigeons in general. It's going to get lots of value out of that, taking off offline a lot of Team 1's bombs, eco, just in terms of some mass fabricators and the power. Now it's going after the laser or Flash's base. Maybe it's going to try to go after this nice mass fab farm that he's built, but also the SMD would be a nice target as well. Taking that offline, there is some AA nearby. And our sub bomber could turn around and go after the air grid up here. And it looks like it's going after some T3 mechs as well, taking off more eco for Team 1's red player of, or Team 1's yellow player of red. Not confusing enough to be named red, but not be the color red. So every time I say red, it confuses myself. We do see gunships coming in to try to take the shield offline. There are restorers, not known for their air-to-ground weaponry, but again, something is better than nothing. Bomb does drop. Restorers trying to target the pigeon that's barely out of shield coverage. Bomb will land, take out the shield coverage, target the emitter. You take that offline. There's no hope of that base being protected. Bomber going to build up another bomb. 146,000 mass. Where is that red? Red kills off Wi-Fi due to some bombers, it looks like. I think that was what he used against him. And that bomber will take out that mechs up there. Looks like it was... Yeah, it looks like there was some... Actually, there was some gunships, it looks like, not bombers. That killed off Wi-Fi's commander. Also, he loses the mass fab farm as well. That's got to hurt Team 2's eco ever so slightly. But looks like our sub-bomber now back on screen because it was transferred over and had to just slowly move in. That is under control of Cunning Fox. He's going to drop another payload going after more T3 mechs. Actually, no. He's going to hold it. Unfortunately, he won't drop a bomb. There he goes. Could have taken out some more T3 mechs, but probably wanted to bring it back to base. And does take out a T3 mechs with its crash damage, so at least it took out another mechs before it was killed off. But Team 2 has air control. At least they had it for a minimum amount of time. They still have an Our sub-bomber and a Tsar running around the map. All we need to see is the bug, and there's all the quote-unquote air experimentals in the game. I don't count a Novax as an air experimental because it's not quote-unquote an air unit. You control it from the air, but if you were to kill the satellite station, you kill off the experimental, so I classify it as a very weird ground unit. Air quotes around both ground and air. In that instance, it's kind of a dual air and ground, but yeah, just call it ground and call it a day. Fat Boy is under fire from a Fat Boy from Team 1. The Eastern approach, the Eastern campaign has been a lot more just kind of back and forth, not really a lot of progress. A little bit of progress has been made. It's very slow progress on that Eastern side. In the West, huge amounts of purple units outbound for a crab and a bunch of some engineers spamming up some shield, and obviously there's some bricks nearby. We do see Katsu nearby as well. But I think does the monkey have Omni? No, I don't think any of the experimentals have Omni on board. The Colossus used to have Omni on board a long time ago, but they took that off so that Katsu, for example, could be a cloaking laser commander, and he would easily be taken out by that Omni-capable Galactic Colossus, so they took that off the Colossus. Which, I still get comments today about, like, why isn't there an Omni on the Colossus? And I didn't even notice that was a thing until, I think, one game where I really made it the focus of my cast, and I was told by wonderful people in the comments that, yeah, it used to have it, and it doesn't have it anymore, and that was the reason why, just to make it balanced with the whole cloaking, laser, cyber nonsense that they like to do. I wouldn't say nonsense, but tactical move, probably be a better word for that. Artillery is online here from Team 2's Cunning Fox. Looks like it was being built by Wi-Fi. Then it was finished by Cunning Fox. That is a massive amount of mass to lose per second. I think it's 30-something mass. Let's see, let me find a T3 mass fab. If I can find... Oh, there's one over here. I know there's one over here. Of course, they don't tell me... Well, you should tell me how much you produce. You're not... That's really weird. It's not telling me how much that... That's really weird. Yeah, it's not telling me how much it produces, which normally it does. You know, over a T3 Mechs, that's really weird. Usually it tells me how much it's producing, but for some reason It is not today. Yeah, this one is 16. Yeah, just these ones for some reason aren't. Maybe they're oh, maybe they could be offline. I just don't see the offline symbol. But these ones over here is 16 mass, so they lost about 80 or so mass per second. Definitely a chunk, not the end of the world, but it definitely hurts the pocketbook. More Awasab bombers are being built, and a YOLO is being built by Team 1's Limes. Main thing is, does Team 2 know about it? They do know about it. They can see it on map. They have to hover over it to physically see it, because it's not constructed yet, so it doesn't have that little icon around it or on it. But once Team 2 focuses that game render, that is not going to feel good. It is Seraphim though, so it's underneath Seraphim shields as well, which will provide a little bit more protection. But speaking of which, gating in Calm, we see from Red. Oh, that was from. that was from Red. I thought that was for Team 2. I'm like, oh look, I caught a Calm teleporting in, and I did, but not the right team. He has laser and teleportation online. Looks like he teleported to there, and then he's gonna teleport over here, and then teleport over here, it looks like, and then teleport back. Gonna be a very interesting teleportation setup. Looks like the first teleportation has been started. YOLO has been completed. Mass assist for Team 1, PD and shields and loading. Calm has teleported in. Going to be taken out by some Othams nearby, though. He will not be able to teleport out of range. Artillery was not focused down. Unfortunately, all of the engineers will be killed off, but nothing of any sort of consequence in terms of the actual artillery structure. But that will be a kill hit for Team 2. And then we'll drop this game to a 4v3. Team 1 has suffered their first loss of the game at 39 minutes. Team 2 already suffered 2 losses before that. Awasab Bomber over here holding position, waiting to drop. A lot of flak has been built. Maybe they're going to go after the YOLO. They should see it by now. Oh, they definitely see it, and artillery is landing around it, it looks like. Artillery will hold for a while. Oh, sorry, the shields will hold for a while. A, they're Seraphim. And B, there's a lot of engineers probably assisting them as we speak. YOLO will launch its first super nuke. Where is it going? I don't know. What would it go after? Air grid would be a good target. Going after the artillery would be a good target. Team 2 does not have adequate SMD defense. So that is definitely... Well, they have one right here, but there's only one anti-nuke missile loaded. Donut and 2 Awasab bombers are inbound. Bombers are going to be highly focused here by the ASF forces from Team 1. Unfortunately, even if those bombers are taken out, the ASF loss is immeasurable. The bombs don't even drop, unfortunately, here for Team 2. They just land going after... I don't even know what they were going after. They weren't even in line with that YOLO. One of the shields has fallen, but has popped back online. ASF fight over the top of the huge amount of AA grid that has been built here by Team 1's Limes, and that donut is going to suffer very, very quickly. It will not make it to the target. It will be shot down. There it goes. Team 2 loses all of their air experimentals. They are pushing on the ground in the west, but again, in this slow progress, another nuke is outbound. It went after the air grid in the southwest. Oh, excuse me. Kaboom! Sorry, that was the... Got to launch the official noise of any nuke in the game, whether it's a sub, a stationary, or a YOLO. It gets the same treatment. I don't do it for Billy Nukes unless it's a really, really powerful Billy Nuke, like it kills off a ton of units, or it gets a snipe. Those are probably the 2 instances where I do give the Billy Nuke that kaboom. Besides that, it's essentially just a glorified bigger missile, essentially. And there it goes. The big launching... not artillery, but nuclear arm of the Seraphim. Kaboom! Takes out just a chunk of infrastructure here for Team 2. They are losing stuff very quickly here. It looks like the momentum that I thought Team 2 was having. I mean, it looked like Team 2 was going to be able to take out that YOLO. If those 2 bombs dropped probably right about here, that might have been enough to crack the shielding and kill off the YOLO. But more shielding is being built here by Limes, and he might be fine for the rest of the game unless the land side of things does mess up with his plans. Another YOLO nuke is outbound. Looks like it's going for the rest of this base, and a teleportation by Team 1's Katsu, it looks like. Sir, I like the enthusiasm of going after the artillery, But that's a thing. You should probably teleport out there. And he goes, oh, I should probably teleport out there. And the nuke actually almost saves Katsu. The SMD almost saves him. But that's going to be a friendly comp kill from Team 1's Limes. He's just accepted his fate. There he goes. Kaboom! Gets destroyed in style there. And Limes gets a team kill at 42 minutes, dropping this game to a 3v3. Usually kills are for the other team, or on the other team, but not in this game apparently. We do see a lot of T2 Corsair spam trying to stop the incursion of the Megaliths. Looks like this is Team 2's last remaining hope. If they don't kill off the YOLO here, that might be it for the game. There's more crabs coming in all the time with this high concentration of 3 crabs. This one is in the yellow, this one is in the red. This is the main focus. All it needs to do is crack the shielding, and then the next one in line could be able to crack the rest of the hit points. The first crab is down. The second crab is in the 4,000 range. 3,000. Oh, it does have some shots landing on the shield. That one does die. Now we see the massive amount of Corsair spam going after this crab, dropping it very quickly to about 50% of its hit points. Actually, a little bit less than that. That was a lot. We do see a couple of these deceivers, as well as some fire beetles making their way in the mix as well, trying to deal damage to the shields or the emitters or just anything in that base area. That crab gets taken out quite quickly here by Team 1's player of Limes, as well as some assistance from Bob. And that attack, the shields are about to fall around that YOLO, but there's not enough firepower here. There's a couple of Othams still here. T3 land headquarters does go down. Othams cake out the main shield, but the secondary shield pops back online. Oh, the YOLO took some damage, but it's not enough. There's not enough units. I mean, just high concentrated. Now we see some Continentals coming in. They don't have a lot of attack power on their own in terms of damage from the actual transport themselves, but anything is better than nothing at this point, and I think Team 1 has secured victory in this game. It was very, very close. Had those Awasaws dropped their bombs, it might have been enough to kill off the YOLO, and this game would have changed very, very quickly here. But with Team 2 losing their air grid and their artillery, and now losing the eastern front, it's not really a lot going down here for Team 2 in terms of a positive direction. And lots of reclaim here for Team 1. I wouldn't be surprised if they're building artillery or another game ender or something else somewhere. Nope, they're just building massive amounts of soul rippers, because why not? They have 3 of them online. One of them just got shot down. Maybe that was from Team... No, that's from Team 2. Team 2's player of Trottel has built his own gunship experimentals in terms of those soul rippers, but it gets getting shot down immediately. We have 3 of them alive going after that megalith and all the line of units. The bug gonna land on top of a chicken there. The chicken's probably gonna eat the bug and scoop it all up. If this was real life, that would be the case that's happening. But I don't think that our experimentals are gonna be the way in to take out that YOLO. It's already killed off 130,000 mass, and there's more mass. I think there's more mass surrounding it, or there was at one point, than that YOLO has killed off. 446,000 mass on the field. 300,000 of which is on Team 1 side of the map, and about 200,000 of which is just on screen right now, mainly in front of that YOLO. So almost, there's enough to build another YOLO, but there's almost enough just right here to build another YOLO itself. So almost enough mass on the entirety of the map to build 2 YOLOs, but almost enough to build enough just right next door. 45 minutes on the clock. I feel like Team 2 is running out of options. Here comes those gunships moving in to take out the rest of Team 2's bases. We see Fat Boys pushing against Yodik on the eastern side and the western side of that pond. And in the north, not really a lot happening anymore here for Trotto. He's just trying to spam up some crabs, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Another YOLO is outbound. It's going after this base for Trotto. He has 1 SMD. It is not loaded. There's another SMD right here. It's fired 1 SMD missile off. It's not going to... Oh, it might be enough if the SMD loads fast enough, but I don't think it's going to. There wasn't a lot of assistance around it, and there it goes. There goes the base for Trottil, at least some of it at least. And just the slow expansion of destruction. Boom. Everything is destroyed. And the ecos for Team 2 are dropping. Yoda control K's in the water over here. His base has been destroyed, leaving only Team 2's Cunning Fox and Trottil remaining. I feel like the end is nigh. Another YOLO missile is outbound, and desyncs are detected. Unfortunately, as you can see by the game, we can kind of tell which direction it's going anyways, which is the only reason why I keep these desyncs in games that have desyncs, is if it's like a couple of minutes before the end, and obviously we can see the destruction of, well, everything, essentially. It's really no way it's going to go the other way, essentially. Another nuke will land on that SMD base. Kaboom! Leaving just one primary experimental base online. More SMDs being built. I don't think it's going to be enough. And we have some monkeys coming online dealing with the crabs. One last hurrah here for Trottil at this point, and then I can speed it up to +2. These over here, Lime's control case, probably due to the desync, possibly. And it does look like Team 2's Trottil also control case as well, leaving this game to a victory for Team 1. And I think MVPs do go to Limes. I mean, he built the YOLO, he kept it online. He got a little bit lucky with those Awasaws not, dropping their payloads. Looks like they were going after the air grids or something, most likely. He did a very good job. He defended it quite well, getting PD, getting shield. He had a chicken nearby, so great defense. Of course, the death of the ASF was huge for him, being able to claim the skies. And, of course, all the AA that he built around it obviously helped with that. But it was really funny to watch Wi-Fi and Limes do essentially almost the exact same thing at roughly the exact same time. It was very weird to watch that, but it just barely was enough for Team 1. Obviously, that YOLO pushed them over the edge. But in the East, Team 1 was winning, and in the West, I mean, it was definitely in favor of Team 2 for quite a while, especially in the mid to late game. But once those crabs started pushing for the YOLO, that was it. All that momentum died, and more was trying to be, built up, but it was just not enough. But again, let me know down in the comments who you felt deserved MVP or not. And of course, if you haven't done so already, like the video and subscribe to your channel. Thank you so very much for watching. I really do appreciate all the time and attention you give to myself and my videos in general. Thank you so very much. And of course, share this video with anyone, everyone, and especially your pets. And I will see all of you in the next one.